Kitchen trends. We all love them until we don't. So I went down a rabbit hole. Design magazines, blogs, expert predictions, all the usual suspects, and pulled together a list of the kitchen trends they say are on the way out. There was a lot of overlap, a few strong views, and a couple that I think might seriously divide opinions. I thought we could go through them. I'll give my honest take as a kitchen designer, and then you can decide whether you agree or completely disagree. All white kitchens. Kicking things off with probably the one that appeared most on the different lists, the classic all-white kitchen. Designers are calling this trend out as feeling a bit sterile, a bit cold, and honestly, a bit bland. It's very showroom and very developer spec new build. And then there's the practicality side of things. White shows everything. Every splash of tomato sauce, every coffee drip, every dirty fingerprint. You basically end up constantly cleaning. Now, I don't think white kitchens are going to be disappearing anytime soon. A light, bright kitchen will always feel clean, pretty timeless, and easy to live with. But the fully all-white look, white cabinets, white walls, white splashbacks, white worktops, that very flat, clinical feel, I think that's already been on its way out. I think more and more people are wanting warmth again. They want texture, they want character, they want their home to actually feel like a home and not a showroom. And an all-white kitchen doesn't naturally give you that. You don't need to ditch white completely, you just need to break it up slightly. Think softer, warmer whites instead of bright, stark white, some light wood tones to bring in warmth, add a bit of texture into the room, maybe add some brushed, satined or aged metals instead of polished. And you could add some countertops with a little bit more character, some subtle veining or a bit more depth, not the flat white slab. It's not about making the kitchen busier, it's about adding layers. And those small changes can make a huge difference. You still get that fresh, clean look, just without it feeling cold and clinical. Matte black everything. Apparently, designers are starting to cool on this trend, and the main reason is because it's high maintenance. Matte black shows fingerprints, smudges, water spots, grease and oils, even subtle wear over time. That beautiful soft matte finish, it only looks that good when it's properly cleaned. And keeping it that way takes more effort than most people expect. There's also a visual side to it. When overused, black can feel a bit heavy and flat. What once felt bold and edgy can start to feel a bit harsh and in some cases slightly dated. I still think matte black can look fantastic in the right setting. I don't think it's going away or dead as such. But like a lot of trends, it works best in moderation. The issue isn't matte black itself, it's when everything becomes matte black. Because then it is harder to keep clean, it can become a bit overly contrasty, those everything white kitchens with matte black handles, taps, sockets, switches, and even some appliances, that can become a bit jarring. So consider using black as an accent, not the whole scheme. It works brilliantly when it's used to add a little contrast and definition, which can be taps and handles. Just be conscious not to overdo it, or it could be elements of light fittings, maybe bar stool legs, or framing details like glazed cabinets, your windows, or even your patio doors. And I think it works best when you pair it with warmer tones, natural materials, and just a softer color palette. That way, you still get that modern, crisp look, but it feels more balanced, more timeless, and a lot easier to live with day to day. Open shelving as your main upper storage. Designers are starting to push back on this one a bit, because in reality, open shelving is high maintenance and often pretty impractical. Dust builds up quickly, grease settles on everything over time, and you lose a huge amount of functional storage. And unless everything you own looks good, it can feel messy fast. It looks amazing in a photo shoot, but that's a styled environment. In real life, it's usually a mix of random mugs, half-used jars, and things you don't plan to actually put on display. And then there's the bigger trend, removing wall cabinets completely. It looks clean and minimal, but for most people, the lack of storage becomes a regret very quickly. Now, I don't think open shelving is dead, but I do think it's maybe being overused a little bit. The idea that it's a practical, everyday storage solution that suits every household, that's where it falls down. Because unless you're naturally tidy, quite minimal, and happy to maintain it regularly, it just doesn't hold up long term for most households. What it is great for, though, is adding some personality, opening the room up more, and it's really handy for grabbing everyday items quickly. I don't think you need to remove open shelving completely, just use it more intentionally, or at least be aware of its limitations if you are going to use them more. For most, think of it more as an accent and not the main event. 1 or 2 shelves for decorative pieces, small items you use every day so dust doesn't settle, and plenty of closed storage elsewhere to handle the reality of kitchen storage. A balanced mix of open and closed storage always works well. You still get that airy, styled look, but without turning your kitchen into a full-time cleaning project. Fluted everything. Fluted finishes have been very popular in recent years, but like most strong design trends, it's gone too far too quickly. We're now seeing fluting everywhere. Fluted islands, fluted cabinet doors, fluted glass, fluted tiles, full fluted wall paneling, sometimes all in the same kitchen. And that's where the issue starts. The more a trend is repeated, the faster it becomes recognizable and the faster it dates. And there are practical downsides too. Grooves collect dust, cleaning takes more effort, and across multiple surfaces, it doesn't always age particularly well. Now, I actually really like fluted details. When they're used well, they can elevate a kitchen, or any space really for that matter. But this is a classic case of too much of a good thing, because once every surface starts competing for attention, you lose the impact completely. Instead of feeling considered, it just feels overdone. So I do get what they're saying about this one. Instead, you just need to be more selective when it comes to using fluting. Pick 1 or 2 areas where it can really shine. An island feature end panel, a breakfast bar detail, a single run of wall cabinets, or maybe just the glass on your glazed units. Let it be a highlight, not the whole story of the room. When it's used in moderation, it can feel elegant, intentional, and much more timeless. It becomes more of a design element or architectural statement, not a repetitive surface that then just loses its impact. Ultra-minimalist kitchens. For a while, this style felt really futuristic, clean, sleek, and almost architectural. But now, these designers are saying the extreme version of minimalism is starting to feel a bit empty. They're calling it out as cold, impersonal, and lacking character. It looks incredible in a magazine shoot or a perfectly staged showroom, but in a real home with real life, real mess, real people, it can start to feel a bit lifeless. Now, I don't think minimalism is necessarily the problem. I think it's more this overdone version of it. Clean, simple kitchen is always going to work. But when you strip everything back, no handles, no texture, no contrast, no detail whatsoever, you lose the things that make a space feel human. But if you love that clean, modern look, keep it. Just soften it a little. Introduce a bit of warmth and texture through your materials. Natural wood or timber accents, fluted or ribbed details on islands or cabinetry, warm metals instead of cold chrome, some matte finishes instead of ultra gloss, and stone with a bit of movement and variation. You're not abandoning minimalism, you're just adding more depth and a little more character to it. So the kitchen still feels sleek and modern, just not cold, flat, and empty. Statement cooker hoods that dominate the room. Designers are starting to move away from these oversized showpieces. The bigger and more distinctive the hood, the more it ties your kitchen to a very specific moment in design. They overpower smaller kitchens, they can interrupt sightlines, especially in open plan spaces. They compete with everything else visually, and instead of elevating the space, they tend to just dominate it. Now, I think a well-designed statement hood can absolutely be an amazing feature, but there's a fine line between a feature and something that takes over the entire room, because your eyes should move naturally through the space, not be dragged straight to one oversized element. And when one thing shouts too loudly, everything else just gets a bit lost. So I do know what they're getting at with this one, but I don't think it's as simple as saying all statement hoods are a dead trend or are just on the way out. If you like this idea, aim for a hood that fits into the design, not one that dominates it. A simple, well-proportioned plaster hood, an integrated hood hidden with cabinetry that's a little bit more of a feature, or a more formal cooker surround and hood can look amazing if it's in a traditional style kitchen that can take the size and look. The goal is balance. It should feel like part of the overall design, not the only thing you notice when you walk into the room. Okay, this next one is an interesting one, because I'll be honest, here in the UK, I haven't done kitchens like this. But I know for a lot of you, especially in North America, this has been a big trend for a number of years. So you have to let me know in the comments how accurate this one feels. Rustic Farmhouse. A few years ago, the whole farmhouse look absolutely exploded. We saw sliding barn doors, shiplap everywhere, reclaimed style beams, heavily distressed timber, rustic iron hardware, big apron front sinks. It became a very recognizable style. But that's also the problem. So they're saying designers are starting to move away from it because it's become a bit too theme-based. And themed kitchens tend to date much faster. The biggest issue, they say, though, is the distressing, because heavily distressed wood doesn't read as naturally aged. It often just looks artificially worn. And once that feeling sets in, it can very quickly fall out of favor. Now, I think there are elements of this style that people still love, and for good reason. Warmth, texture, natural materials, that's never going out of style. But when it becomes very literal, very farmhouse by numbers, that's when it starts to feel forced. But if you like that warm, rustic feel, keep it. Just maybe take a more subtle, modern approach. Think more natural, non-distressed wood finishes, softer textures instead of heavy detailing, and some softer brushed or aged metals, not that strong wrought iron look. Instead of going full farmhouse, aim for something a little bit more refined, less themed, more timeless and lived in. You still get the warmth and character, just without it feeling like a design trend from a very specific moment. Extreme marble veining. Apparently, designers are starting to move away from the extreme end of this look. They're saying it risks becoming the next statement granite from the early 2000s. You know the kind? Very distinctive, very recognizable, and very tied to a specific era. The issue isn't marble itself, it's the intensity of the veining. It instantly becomes the main focal point whether you want it to or not. It sometimes limits what you can pair with it. It can overwhelm smaller kitchens, and high contrast patterns tend to date faster as trends shift. Now, I actually kind of agree with this one. I love natural stone, but when the veining gets too dramatic, it can take over the entire kitchen. Once that happens, everything else has to work around it and not with it. It's one of those choices that looks amazing in isolation, but harder to live with long term. Now, my obvious caveat to this is that if you love a very dramatic looking stone, then go for it. It's your kitchen. I think they can work really well in selective smaller areas or with other furniture items. But if you're at all worried about having a more timeless kitchen, then I would tend to go a little bit more subtle and something that blends with the room. Look for stone with softer, more subtle veining, gentle movement rather than harsh contrasts, and maybe a honed or matte finish, and maybe warmer, more neutral and natural tones. You still get that luxury feel, you still get the beauty of natural material, but it feels calmer, more versatile, and much less likely to date stamp your kitchen. Same material, just a more considered version of it. The everything smart kitchen. We're now seeing fridges with massive touchscreens, app-controlled toasters, ovens that need software updates, appliances that all want to connect to your phone or some sort of cloud somewhere. And here's the concern that designers are raising. A lot of this tech ages very quickly, because while kitchens are designed to last 10 to 20 years, technology moves on in about 2 to 5 years. And the more tech you add, the more you introduce things that can break, systems that don't talk to each other, subscriptions and updates, and features you realistically won't use. Now, I'm definitely not anti-tech as such. Some upgrades genuinely make a kitchen better. Personally, I love induction hobs, and some consider those a bit more techy. Things like pyrolytic or self-cleaning functions of an oven can also be great, and smart lighting systems that you can control more effectively with an app can be a worthwhile upgrade. But I think there's a difference between useful innovation and novelty for the sake of it. Because the reality is, most people probably use about a fraction of the smart features they're paying for with some of these appliances. I think it's more important to focus on tech, and especially appliances, that are reliable and genuinely useful day to day. Things like a high-quality induction hob, energy-efficient fridge freezers, well-built ovens with features that you actually use. Maybe even discrete built-in charging points. That could be a dedicated charging drawer, or just sockets with USB outlets built in. These are the kind of upgrades that you actually use every day. For me at least, the goal isn't to have the smartest kitchen, it's to have one that still feels current and just as usable in 10 years' time. Waterfall Worktops. So designers are starting to question whether waterfall edges are becoming a bit overdone. Because like a lot of statement features, once they're everywhere, they start to lose their impact. The concerns tend to be they can feel a bit predictable now, they're heavily tied to a specific modern luxury trend, and they don't suit every kitchen style. There's also the practical side. They use a lot more material, which means more cost, and visually they can feel quite heavy, especially in smaller kitchens. In some kitchens, instead of elevating the design, they end up dominating it. So I don't think waterfall worktops are out necessarily. When they're done well, they still look fantastic. But I get what they're saying. They've definitely become more of a default choice rather than a considered one. And that's where the problems creep in, because not every island or cabinet run needs a waterfall edge. Sometimes it's added just because it feels like the premium option, not because it actually improves the design or the homeowner necessarily loves it. So if you're considering a waterfall, just make sure it's intentional. Ask yourself, does it suit the scale of the room? Does the material we're using actually deserve to be highlighted in this way? If not, you've got some great alternatives. Just a standard overhang with a more interesting edge detail can look amazing. Adding more detail and interest through cabinetry end panels, if you do want something a little bit more unique, can also be a great option. And honestly, just a nice, clean, simple, plain end panel still looks great. It's a nice contrast opportunity against your worktop and a pretty timeless option. I think waterfall worktops work best when they're used selectively, not just automatically. Because when they're the right choice for a room, they do feel architectural and quite premium. But when they're forced, or just a default choice, especially in a material that doesn't really need to be highlighted like that, then they just run the risk of feeling a little overdone or outdated. So tell me, which kitchen trends do you think won't last? Or is there one you secretly love, even if it's a bit questionable? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy this one, where I talk about timeless kitchen design. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.